Man, JBL is on a roll with their new products. Hey guys, we have with us today the JBL Club One headphones, and they are surprisingly pricey. These come in at 539 Singapore dollars or approximately 350 US dollars, which is actually more expensive than one of my favorite headphones, the Sony WH-1000XM4. So, are they worth the money? Before we get into the review, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. Let's talk design first. If you've watched my review of the JBL Club Pro Plus True Wireless earbuds before, you'll notice that the design is actually pretty similar. That's because they're all part of the Club lineup from JBL, so I think the company has actually done a pretty good job in keeping that sort of design continuity across the products. The headset is really sleek, with 99% of it basically being matte black. The parts that aren't matte black are the glossy Club words on either side of the headband and the JBL logo on either ear cup. Oh, and this shiny silver strip. I love it. It's subtle, but it will still catch your attention if you're looking at it from an angle. You do get these exposed wires running from the ear cups into the headband, which I'm not terribly fond of, but this really is personal preference. The yokes are metal, which is excellent. It definitely gives the headphones a more premium feel. The headband itself has a good amount of flex as well, and is wrapped in a pretty supple leather with a decent amount of padding. The ear pads come with super soft leather and padding, and they're magnetic. Looks like JBL took a page out of Apple's playbook, and it's great because even if the ear pads end up cracking, and they will in Singapore's hot and humid weather, they're easily replaceable. Moving on, there's a thin rubberized strip around where the ear cups and the ear pads meet, and that's because the control buttons are all there. On the left ear cup, you get the power button, Bluetooth pairing button, and ANC button. There are also LED indicators for power, Bluetooth pairing status, and whether ANC is on or off. On the right, you get volume buttons that double up for track skipping with long presses. In between those two buttons, you get a single one for play pause, call control, as well as voice assistant. As for ports, you get a 2.5mm port on either side, as well as a USB-C charging port on the right ear cup. Now, it's time to talk about accessories, and this is where the Club One actually impresses me. In the box, you get a hard-sided carrying case that's actually not too bulky. There's a carrying loop that can be detached and attached via a button, which is nice, since this means you can loop it through your back handles or whatever and carry it that way. Pretty convenient for traveling. Aside from that, you get a lot of stuff. There's an aux cable with mic and remote, there's a USB-C charging cable, there's even a flight adapter, which is nice. But what surprised me was this, a coiled aux cable. It's not something that you often see with consumer headphones, and it was just really surprising to me. One end is a 2.5mm jack to be plugged into the headphones, and the other end is 3.5mm. But you do get a 6.3mm adapter in the box that can be screwed on here. Maybe it's because JBL actually markets these as being able to be used for DJing. I'm not a DJ, I have no idea if this will actually be good for DJing, but yeah, providing more choices for consumers is always a win in my book. These headphones aren't light, by the way. They're around 378 grams, which is actually heavier than the Sony XM4s, so you'll definitely be able to feel them on your head when you're wearing them. That being said, I could wear these for a few hours on end without my ears overheating or any sort of pinching at the crown of my head. So yeah. One thing to note is that the space inside the ear pads isn't actually very large, so if you have longer or larger ears, they might not sit quite nicely inside the ear cups. Now, I've had people asking me for the measurement of the space inside the ear pads for other headphones before, so by my own rough gauge, it's around 5.3 cm from the top to the bottom. This isn't an exact measurement by any means. I kind of just held up a ruler to kind of measure it, but yeah, just a rough gauge. In the app, you get big buttons on the home screen for ANC and ambient sound. There's also a bar indicating battery status, and of course, you get the EQ feature below. I currently have it on the new Personify EQ setting, so let's talk more about that. Previously, there was only a 10-bar EQ feature that you could customize on DJ's signature presets. But for the Club One, there's the new Personify EQ, which is great. With it, there's not only a personalized EQ, there's even an advanced personalized EQ available after you take a hearing test. The hearing test is relatively easy. A series of beeps are played and you either raise or lower the volume until the beep is barely audible. That being said though, it's actually quite odd because I preferred the basic Personify EQ more than the advanced personalized one. The basic one was louder, with more impact in the bass and more forward vocals. The advanced EQ just felt like a more restrained, more toned back EQ without really that sort of rumble and thump in the bass. I compared my custom EQ with the 3 DJ signature presets and I found it the most similar to Tiger Lily, although my EQ did have more forward vocals, which I do like. It's quite surprising because, like I mentioned in the Club Pro Plus review video, those earbuds actually needed quite a bit of work on the EQ side to sound at its best. For these, JBL has kind of taken out all of that guesswork and the new Personify EQ just sounds really good, to me at least. Aside from the EQ and ANC, there's not much in terms of features to talk about, and we'll talk about ANC later, so let's move on for now. These run on Bluetooth 5.0, which is okay. Unfortunately, they only have SBC and AAC codecs, so no aptX. I didn't notice any sync or lag issues when I was watching videos or on video calls though, so thank God for that. There is multi-point support here, which is great. I can connect these to my laptop and to my phone, so if I'm listening to music on my laptop and a call comes in, it will switch over no problem at all. As for battery life, these aren't too bad. JBL claims 45 hours if you're just listening to music via Bluetooth, but it drops down to 23 hours if you're listening to music via Bluetooth and you have ANC turned on. If you want a bit of a bump in battery life though, you can go with aux in and ANC on and it goes up to 25 hours. All in all, it's not the best battery life that you can find. I'm thinking of the XM4s. I believe those have 30 hours with ANC on and Bluetooth, but it's not too shabby either. So now we come to ANC. Despite these being more expensive than the Sony XM4, don't expect better ANC here. In fact, the ANC here is actually rather average. Sure, it does cut out a bit of external noise, but it struggles to really effectively deal with, train rumble or car noise. JBL is using adaptive noise cancelling here, and I found that it just isn't my preferred mode of ANC. I prefer being able to adjust the strength, something similar to the Bose NC700s or even just using the optimizer feature on the XM4s. Regardless, the ANC here does work to some extent, and JBL claims that it listens to and adapts itself at 50,000 times a second, which is a lot. It's not poor, and I definitely will still turn ANC on because it does help a little, just don't expect like insane ANC quality. As for microphone quality, it's not too bad. People that I've called with these actually says that my voice sounded quite clear, although they could still tell that it was through a microphone. Coming to sound quality though, you actually get a very well balanced sound with a little bump in the bass. You get punchy bass and a good amount of attack and decay. With my personalized EQ turned on, the bass gets lifted even more and there's a good amount of rumble. Mids aren't too recessed and you get a full-bodied mid-range with vocals that are just right. I personally prefer vocals to be a bit more forward and my EQ actually did do that, so yeah. You can use the custom EQ setting to kind of tweak this to your liking though, so no worries there. As for treble, it's not too bad. There's a good amount of brightness, although there's a peak that might be a bit sharp for some people. Personally, I'm fine with the highs. I thought that they were relatively crisp, even though there is a bit of treble roll-off. Again, this is tweakable in the EQ settings, so if you decide to get these headphones, my advice would really be to spend some time playing around to kind of adjust and fine-tune these to get what you want out of them. Now, price. Like I mentioned, these are 539 Singapore dollars or 350 US dollars, which isn't cheap. And while the ANC was a bit disappointing, I actually think that the sound quality is actually pretty good. I have no idea of the consistency of the personalized EQ across, other people's experiences, but for me at least, it was really well done. So I would say that if you can find these with maybe like a $50 discount or something, it might just be worth the money. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the JBL Club One headphones. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to us. Till the next one, see you guys.